a very, very special panel because Kotu has actually invested in, in Huspi. So my first question is, what is the most unique aspect of your relationship, right, as founder and investor, and how has it influenced sort of Huspi's growth trajectory? Amir.
First, this is the first time I sit on a panel with Jad. We have known each other for a long time. I don't. On my side, I mean, we're both going to have. It's a great different perspective you're going to get here. But I think for me, Jad and I have known each other pre-Huspi, pre-Kotu, and I've witnessed him grow into a phenomenal entrepreneur. I think the way we approach these relationships is ultimately it's not an investor-founder dynamic. It's really a partnership and a deep, trusting relationship that extends beyond just the professional context. So, for us, when we first, he was a big, just side point. When I left Beko to start Kotu, there was a transition period where I wasn't sure I wanted to start a fund. And Jad was one of the guys who really, encouraged me to do it. And through that encouragement, he was raising for his first round, and I was lucky enough to invest. And then, with great founders, you tend to find that they don't need that much help. Jad is extremely resourceful. The best I could do is just allow him to share his thoughts and maybe be a good sounding board. Maybe he'll tell you otherwise, but yeah, I'll pause there.
Cool. Thanks for hosting. My name is Jad, founder of Huspi. In the context, Huspi is the largest prop tech in Europe and the Middle East. We're present in 4 cities, Dubai, Abu Dhabi, Madrid, and Valencia. We're launching 3 or 4 more in Q1, including Riyadh, that we just announced. Been in the business for 4 years now. Started with a mortgage product where we own roughly around 30% of the market, and we started investing a year and a half ago in real estate, which today we're also the market leaders. So that's in a nutshell about the company. Amir is actually my previous boss in Beko, so that's how we know each other. Spent a couple of years working on the investment team with him, and then left a few months before he left, and then he was the first investor on that. Today we're a Series C company, and raised roughly around 100 million from the likes of Sequoia Founders Fund and a few others. So,
Amir, I think my question to you is going to be, how important is it to find that right fit, right, between investor and investee? And how do you align on your short-term and long-term goals?
Look, I think it's not... So the way we approach these discussions, especially at the earliest stages, which is where we invest at pre-seed, seed, it's really an idea, maybe a small team, a bit of traction. I think ultimately in our conversation we do 2 things. We get to know the founder's personal story and their, everything from their childhood through to what got them to solve this particular problem. In that engagement, what tends to happen is you really build a deep connection. And then on the other side, we really go deep into the business to make sure we're aligned with where they want to go. But ultimately, it's their journey. So, things change, especially at the earliest stages. Jad, when he first started out, again, he was mortgage, as you mentioned, but now he does a whole other thing with super app for real estate agents across other cities and new geographies that perhaps were not in the plans at day 0, right? And I think giving founders that space and encouragement to really go after their ambition is something we try and do. It's not a checklist or a formula. It's really just all about building deep connections of trust and creating a safe space.
Jad, from your perspective, is it all about funding, or is it looking for that investor who you can sort of not just, of course, offer you access to funding, but to grow with and have that relationship with?
both. So yeah, people tell you funding is not important. It is important. So pricing is important. Cash is important. Um, on top of people. So especially that this venture, it's a people's game. And when you go and you partner with a firm, at the end of the day, you partner with a couple of people in the firm, right? So and so, for example, in Kotu, I mainly work with Amir, right? And that's the relationship that we have in other firms. Also one person. So um, and the good things when you have someone who's done it many times before, like he's done a lot of companies here that became big, is that they know it's a long-term play. They empower the founders and the team internally. For me, my executive team and the extended leadership are the most important people to be aligned on the strategy, and then it's all about execution. And for you to do it big, if the market allows it, so you need a big market, then yes, cash is important.
Amir, I mean, of course, the hope of every VC is, to take a company from zero to hero, right? But of course, there are moments of failure and moments of, pivots either way. From a VC perspective, how should you and an investor sort of handle those moments?
I mean, look, in my history, as Jad mentioned, I've been doing this for a long time, that you see a lot, and that gives you some level of humility, and also this idea that you don't really know where things will go. But if I talk about the sort of the outliers, the ones that actually end up becoming, outsized, massive value contributors to ecosystems, what tends to happen is you have this really strong market pull that at some stage in your journey hits you, and through pivots and adjustments, you'll end up finding that market pull. What you do next is a function of running with the market, innovating, trying to take risks. Companies, we invested in a company called Kitopi, which is a cloud kitchen business that reinvented itself at every funding stage, all the way through to, I think they're at Series C, post Series C now. And then you have the likes of also Kareem, which ended up starting with ride hailing, now is being a super app, right? And if you ask those founders at day zero, those visions weren't there. But what happened is they built so much depth on a market that they unlocked new adjacencies, new value propositions, and those are the ones that tend to build really outsized outcomes. And what you see with companies like Huspi is exactly that. In fact, their, let's say, real estate solution is really taking hold in really exciting markets, and it's a really interesting growth lever for them going forward. So yeah.
From a founder perspective, Jad, let's say, what are like the three things you look at, towards your VC for in moments of difficulty or challenge, or where you're expecting sort of a pivot in either direction?
You wanna help?
Besides cash.
I wanted to
Besides
be, yeah.
cash.
Go ahead.
Go.
I'd rather hear it from you first. I'll take the second answer. Look, I maybe I'll comment, like, just maybe Jad, he has a bunch of investors in his cap table today that all add their own sort of relationships, as he mentioned, their own value to his journey. I mean, for us, I think, like I said earlier on, like with someone like most founders, the best ones tend to just, they're the ones who are proactively asking for help. They don't need it. So it's only in times of like challenges, maybe they're raising a funding round, or they need to help, hire a specific type of person, unlock a specific type of relationship. But those are critical moments that happen every so often, but it's really the founder that leads those asks. It's never us coming in and trying to enforce value into those situations, but he can.
Yeah, I'll answer. I think with time it changes a lot. So initially it's mostly the network that you have, especially on the larger funding rounds. Let's say if you're raising a 30, 40, 50, $100 million round, then that's a big advantage, especially now that there's a lot of global VCs that either already invested a lot in the region or they're investing a lot in the region. So I would say at the early days, let's say when you're a Series A company or earlier, then I would say that's one. as you mature as a company, it becomes a bit more the defense function. So the strong governance that comes on the board level, which is very important, especially that the business becomes very complex, so multiple product, multiple markets, and all of the multiple jurisdictions. So especially in Europe, we had to do the full restructuring before we go and we launch, and then it becomes the balance of, okay, staying disciplined from a financial level, but also continue building if the market size is there. So yeah.
So you've picked both real estate and tech, the two sectors that are really getting a lot of focus. How did you sort of settle that I want to blend these two and sort of leverage that?
Yeah, PropTech became a thing now. 4 years ago, it wasn't a thing when we launched it. So I remember when you raised the seed round, it was very difficult when we said, okay, we're going to be in the space. No one wanted to touch it, right? And you know how much we spent time raising the first round. Now there's a lot of money pouring into it. This asset class has a big market, which this is why it's very exciting for people. But the question is, what do you build in this asset class for you to build a really disruptive model that's scalable and all of that, which I think we have in Hospia. So we have a clear value prop. So just for you guys to know a bit about the business, we have an infrastructure for real estate agents and mortgage brokers to build and grow their businesses on top of us. So for you to imagine the experience, anyone can become an agent. You can be the best agent in the market or a part-time student. You download the app, you put your passport copy, your bank info. We do KYC online, training online, you're up and running. It's as simple as this. We pay the highest commission in the market. We give you the best technology in the market, and we give you the infrastructure to close the business, meaning contracts with banks, developers, and marketing cloud, right? And on average, the network that we have makes, or the agent or the broker makes more than $15,000 a month. So they're making a lot of money, right? Which for me is the main KPI that I look for. And now it's the next phase that we have is mostly about execution. So de-risking that from one city to another.
Speaking of money and execution, I mean, from a VC perspective, Amir, I mean, a successful exit is always what VC looks for, right? But is that the only thing, or do you look at anything beyond a successful exit with a company or with a founder?
Look, I think, I mean, for us, we're measured by returns ultimately. But I think the way we approach this is, if we operate in two ways, like if we are able to establish really good connections with our founders, build the right type of relationship, add value in certain key moments, I think the result of that over time will be hopefully better returns. I mean, we're very early, so it takes us about 6 to 7 years for our portfolio companies to grow and demonstrate the value that they can create because of the nature of compounding. But yeah, I guess ultimately, if I had to, I guess, yeah, I think I'll stop there. I don't know.
Jad, final thoughts? Anything else you're looking for from your VC? Now's the time.
He's going after international capital now. He's beyond the region, so I'll let him.
No, listen. The way we think about it is, I'm happy that we're a small part in bringing international capital to here. So it's the first time that people like Founders Fund, like Boulderton, like Fifth Wall, invested in the Middle East through Hospia. And I hope more companies do that. I think the markets here are, some of the markets are ready. You can build large businesses. I think the quality of the entrepreneurs is getting phenomenally better compared to what it was 7-8 years ago when we were investing. And there's no reason why people cannot build global companies. I think there's already a couple of companies that are world class in the region, and in my opinion, and there should be more coming out.
Amazing. Thank you so much. That's all we have time for today. Thank you so much to my
Thank you.
wonderful panelists. Thank you to the audience. A big round of applause, please, for my wonderful panelists.